The way the meeting will go tonight is Arthur DeSorbo will make a short presentation, and then he'll call on the folks from Meridian here, and they'll do a presentation. After the presentation, I will take questions from the public. They'll be addressed to me, and then I'll give them to Arthur. They'll be addressed to the appropriate person to answer the question. So now we'll start with Arthur.
I understand that the handouts that we brought, which were copies of the lease and the agreement with the potential developer, didn't last very long. So if anybody wants a copy of either or both of those items, they can call the mayor's office and leave their address and name, and we'll get. As Kenny said, there's been, again, as there has been lately, a lot of misinformation that was spread out regarding this proposal. As Kenny said, there were certain criteria that the town was ensuring to look at before any kind of an agreement was even considered. And first and foremost was to protect the academy. The academy is going to be there as long as the Board of Education wants it to be there. The other is that the gymnasium was needed to be protected because it's used by the academy and it's used by biddy basketball. The same with the pool. There'll be no change at all in the activities at the pool, no scheduling changes. The point of considering the development of the 200 Tyler Street building is very simple. To maintain and operate the building and add to that the potential tax revenue is certainly a rather substantial amount of money that would benefit the town's general fund and save us some expenses that we don't necessarily have to have. The cost to renovate the building, there was some talk early on in the process about the town maintaining and retaining the building and creating it into a governmental complex of some type. There was a plan done in 1993, which basically, in a very cursory manner, put forward a plan to make it a town facility. Estimated at the time that was done in 1993 to renovate the building and just for its basic needs and provide it for services to town offices, moving offices from town hall into the building and things of that nature. In 1993 dollars, we were talking just short of $9 million to do that. After talking to consultants and engineers, knowing the expenses that have changed over the last 10 years or more, they estimate that proposal of $9 million in today's terms would probably be closer to $16 to $18 million to make the building code compliant and ADA compliant and environmentally compliant to be used as another town building. That doesn't count costs relative to operating the building, having staff at the building, and all the other costs that we all have in our own homes that you have to pay on a month-to-month basis. The mayor felt that was not in the best interest of the town. Getting it to a productive use and generating tax revenues was the way we should. Questions that we'll take after both presentations, both in the audience and the members of the council, and we'll answer them as truthfully and as best that we can. I think that any questions that are related to this project should be asked, especially the ones that I feel are erroneously being disseminated throughout the town on what this project actually. I had some figures done for me. There's costs related to that building by the Board of Education and costs related to the town. It's upwards of $250,000 a year for all the upkeep, and electricity and all the other things that go along, insurance. But right now the academy as it exists is costing us approximately $250,000 a year. The other goal was, the goal right from the beginning was to, in some way, to get that building into a productive use and to have it added back to the tax rolls. The proposal that is going to be presented to you tonight would generate, and again, these are estimated figures on the low side because the final plan would have to be approved and worked on once the council, if indeed it does approve this agreement and lease. Over $125,000 is estimated to be the revenue generated in taxes by figures that were put together by the finance director and by the assessor. The purchase price for the school is $700,000. There's no conditions on that. They're buying basically the building as a potential tax revenue. It's certainly a rather substantial amount of money that would benefit the town's general fund and save us some expenses that we don't necessarily have to have. I'm going to introduce shortly, and again, there'll be questions that we'll take after both presentations, both in the audience and the members of the council, and we'll answer them as truthfully and as best that we can. I think that any questions that are related to this project should be asked, especially the ones that I feel are erroneously being disseminated throughout the town on what this project actually is. I'm going to turn it over now to Howard Weitzman, who's the president of Meridian Development Corporation. He'll introduce the other members of the potential developer, and they have a presentation which I think you'll be interested in. Thank you.
What we really look to do here is, as stated by Howard at the outset, bring the building back to life. And that's what we're about here, is trying to find uses that will make sense, investments that will be comfortable, while we address the fact that there are existing uses that have to be respected and incorporated into the overall design. And as you'll see, there is an attempt to do that at this stage. Our goals, and I'll go through them very quickly, is by putting population back on the site, we're going to be supporting the existing downtown businesses. This will now be a full site accessible to the public and accessible so that people can get to use the overall property. It will enhance the neighborhood, as you'll see from the elevations that we started working on. The idea is to do something that's compatible with the surrounding houses on the adjacent street.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one very important factor. Although this, in fact, was a school, we don't envision school-age children living here. It's important to say that because of the fact that I'm sure that people consider that to be a problem from the standpoint of taxes. And we want to make it very clear that we are designing this project specifically for families without school-age children, professional working couples, if you want to call them that, or empty nesters. So I want to make that statement right now so you'll be clear about what our intent is.
I don't know whether you can see this all the way back there. I hope it's okay, but this is the basic outline of the property. This is the existing original school building here. This here is an extension. This is the extension that was added to the school. That's the auditorium, gymnasium, and then the pool and the adjacent school. This is an idea, and as you'll see as we go through this process, there will be numbers of ideas that we will look at. This is just one, but we looked at a couple of considerations here. One of which was that we have two different uses. One, which would be all of this here, would be residential. This being the main school, these being condominiums, all set back from the street, which is part of what the current zoning would require in terms of zoning setbacks. And parking is in here. Well, for the residential is here, for this building, here, and then there are garages and parking in front of each one of these buildings here. Parking for the academy would be here, and parking for the pool would be here. Next slide. This is the front of the building. It's just to be retained and restored. This is what you don't have, and that's the rear of the building. And one of the reasons that we called this East Haven Court is because we're creating a courtyard behind the building. Right now it's filled up with a lot of buildings between the auditorium and the gymnasium, which fill up the back of the building. And what we're doing here as this particular idea is taking the basic vocabulary of the front of the building and bringing it around to the other side of the building, so what you wind up with is two fronts. And this is, again, a sketch. I'll almost refer to it in my language as a cartoon. because it's the beginning of an idea. That's where this really starts. It's just a thought process that we go through at the very early stages. And if you notice, there were townhouses in a courtyard form that faced the streetscape, which is where you all live right now. And this is one suggestion of townhouse.